Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. It is Ty, the LinkedIn guy. One of my friends reminded me how funny that sounds, but I like it and she likes it too. Today, I wanted to talk about diagnosing your LinkedIn sales funnel. And for many of you, um, it's going to be a revelation. For those that follow me and kind of understand where I'm coming from when I talk about funnels, this should be a good reinforcement. For many of you. Just checking if I'm live. So you've got to remember, guys, on LinkedIn, lead generation. Now, if you are using LinkedIn to get a job, then you should have a online resume or CV, depending where you are in the world. They're the same thing, really. On your LinkedIn, you should have a reverse chronological ordered resume that shows your key responsibilities, your key success stories, and why you are awesome. However, if you are using LinkedIn, not just for a business intelligence tool, but as a lead generation tool, you've got to put in a LinkedIn sales funnel. You've got to see LinkedIn as a process, as a sales process. And it means there's different elements that you really have to lock down and that you really have to optimize and have fully working at the right time in the right order for it to work. And this is why you are not getting leads off LinkedIn, is because you don't have your funnel optimized. You don't have one in place, because each section feeds into itself. And what I want to do is kind of highlight a funnel, kind of 5 parts of the funnel, and why you're missing out. And why it's not working. And this is how you can diagnose where your problem is and where you have to kind of concentrate. And maybe it's in all 5 elements, right? Maybe it isn't just one. If it's just one, great. Rarely is it just one element that is causing you to have the problem. It's a funnel. And the first part to diagnose is your avatar. Have you locked down your ideal client avatar? And what I mean by that, do you really know how they are identifying themselves on LinkedIn, how to find them on LinkedIn? Do you have strategies in place to find them, to filter for them? And when you filter for them, I mean filtering for the active players, right? It's no use chasing the dead and dormant accounts on LinkedIn. It's not predictable. So the first element that you can diagnose is, how have you got your avatar sorted out? Do you have them ready? Do you have the search filtering ready that you can replicate and use over and over again, so you don't have to think every time you go in there? Are you spotlighting and filtering for just the active players? And a classic example, yesterday I did it, dentists, and I used it a lot. I pulled up like 83,500 dentists in the USA on LinkedIn, self-identifying as dentists. Only 670 had come on and posted in the last 30 days. So 0.7%, 0.7%. That's it. That's all had came on. So do you know your avatar? Have you really locked it down? Are they there in an abundant number, and are they active? Right? That's the first element you really have to look at and diagnose in your funnel. Is there the market that to support you going in there and using it organically as a sales tool? Once you've got the avatar locked down, then look at your profile. Does your profile speak to that avatar? Right? If it's not, if you've got a resume that I talked about at the start, and you're not looking for a job, you've got the wrong tool. You brought a knife to a gunfight, right? Great quote by Sean Connery. You brought a knife to a gunfight. So where you should be looking at your profile is, does your profile speak to those avatars that you've identified? And it's okay to have multiple avatars inside. You may have multiple vertical niches, wherever you're from. You may have multiple niches that you are focusing on. That's fine. But does your profile actually talk to them? Is it all about you? Are you talking about I did this, I did that, I got this, I was great, I was awarded, blah, blah, blah. If it is, it's not hitting the pain points. It's not a client facing promotional page. Are you giving the who, the what, the how, the when, the why, the how? Are you answering those questions? So when an avatar lands on your profile, they can see that you have empathy for them. They can see that you understand what their key pain points are, what their bleeding neck problem is. Your profile is talking to that. So when your avatar lands on it, they've got about 7 to 10 seconds before they click off. Right? That's the time frame you've got. It's almost the same as skimming a resume. You've got about 7 to 10 seconds before someone's going to click off. And just look at your own behavior on LinkedIn when you look at someone. How long do you stay on there before, if you look at it, if it's kind of a bit messy, crappy, it's not formatted well, it doesn't lay out the information well, there's chunks of text that you're not going to read. Think about that. If your profile is suffering from that, it's a huge problem. So is it client facing? Does it talk to your ideal client avatars and tell them and show them that you understand what their key problems are, that you provide a solution to that there's a bit of third party social proof in there? And is it formatted and laid out in a way that is encouraging the reader to actually pay attention? Right. And a real easy way to think about it, look at blogs, look at online blogs, look at articles, look at how they're written and laid out today. Look how they use fonts, look how they use subtitling and headings, right? Big clues, guys. So is your page hitting those points? If it's not hitting those points, you've got to fix it. That could be a part of the funnel that is letting the whole system down. After that, then look at your connection and messaging strategies. Are you reaching out and getting a higher percent of people actually accepting as opposed to rejecting? Now, sometimes, a 40% connection rate can be awesome. For some of my clients, they want, in the 60, 70% range. If you are down at that 5-10% connection rate, it means 90% of the people that you are reaching out to are ignoring you. But it could be related back to the first element I spoke about, which was your ideal client avatar and filtering. So they're going to be connected. Are you filtering and chasing active players, or are you going after anyone? Now, that's a really important distinction, because what it means is you're wasting your connections, you're burning through connections, and you're putting your time in the wrong area, right? You're going after the wrong people. They're not there. They're not coming in, participating. So with your connection and messaging strategies, you want to make sure, are you connecting at a rate that's sustainable for you to be able to then get into message conversations? Think about the timing. Have you tested the timing when you send these connection notes, right? Is it better to get your market in the morning, in the evening, lunchtime, midnight? Who knows? You've got to test it. Are you testing your connection notes? Are you testing them? And when you test them, and it's like a classic A/B, don't just test by changing a couple of words. Like, approach it with dramatically different types of message and see how they compare. Find what resonates. The connection note and your messaging is also going to come, the clues are going to come from that first element I spoke about, understanding your avatar, understanding their pain points and their problems. So are you implementing that into your connection and messaging note? Because if you have those first two elements in place and then that part is letting you down, it's game over there as well. So make sure, are you testing your timing? Are you testing the way multiple messages to then track and convert, which are getting you the highest conversion rates? Bring, as Russ Ruffino will say, or Mark said, bring the data, not the drama, right? Really, really important. Bring the data. Look at the data. How are these notes converting? These connection notes. And when you get into a range that you're comfortable in, 40% plus, you're doing well on cold outreach, right? So once you have that, you can then start to use that note for your different avatars. You may have to have separate message sets for each avatar. In fact, you probably will need to have separate connection notes and messaging notes. Don't go generic and use everything for everyone. It just doesn't work like that. right? So make sure that you have spent the time testing your connection notes, testing your follow-up messages, and that way that's going to allow you to scale later, right? Because once you've got your percentages, it will scale. Simple as that. The more that you reach out to your avatar and you've already tested them and you've got base numbers, you can scale it, but never scale a broken system. So once you have that sorted out, move and look at your content strategy. What do you have in place to keep top of mind of your existing clients, of your existing network as well? So the connections that you have, what are you doing to nurture that relationship? What are you doing to keep that top of mind? Do you have activity where you're getting in the inbox and you're getting in front of your connections every single week or multiple times a month? If you don't have that, you are missing out, because as I've spoken about this many times, when you send a message inside LinkedIn, it's 100% deliverable. So it's not going to be dropped into some spam, the junk box like you might get in Gmail or something. It's 100% going to be dropped into their inbox, okay, which is awesome. And then if you have stacked it in your favor and your connection is built and your network is built up on active players, it means you almost will have 100% read rate, open rate. That's pretty cool, right? That when you send a message, it's 100% delivered into their inbox. It doesn't go to any junk box inside LinkedIn, and almost near 100% open rates. Why would you want to just then take them off and put them onto an email subscription list? It doesn't make sense. So make sure that those two are locked in. And that content strategy then, when you are executing that, be thinking, where you can recycle, repurpose, and reuse existing content that you've already got. You don't want to have to be producing tons and tons of content. It's hard to do that. But, one video, if you are a video-based content producer, one video, get it transcribed. You can then get that video made into, 5 to 10 status updates if you're dropping value bombs throughout your session. You could get it made into an article, right? You can get it made into short paragraphs. There's a host of things that you can leverage to recycle, repurpose, and reuse content that you produce. So do you have that in place? If you don't like writing, are you engaging a writer? Are you producing articles, original content that you can then get into the inbox of these people, that you can put on your LinkedIn, that you can post? That will help establish the credibility. But as you see, it's one part of the whole funnel. It's one element. You can skip it out and, hey, it's not going to kill you on LinkedIn, but adding it and having it is going to add extra layers of support and stacking it in your favor. It's really essential. Just save video, coming back later. Okay, Bon. And the final part is really then looking at your work or automation and workflow process, right? What are you using in LinkedIn? What tools are you using in LinkedIn? You will be surprised. There are a whole host of tools inside LinkedIn that you can use that can save you with identifying ideal client avatars automatically for you. There's tools that will collate the most interesting prospects for you, the most ideal client avatars for you, and put them in a certain list in a section where it gets rid of all the noise around LinkedIn and just shows you their activity, their posts, their content, right? You can use that tool. You can use that other automation tools that help you tracking and gaining business intelligence about the companies that you're following, about your competition. Are you using all those tools? There's certain lists where you can actually put a pipeline in and you'll be able to track the progress of a deal that you have with the contact in LinkedIn. So really look at your automation. Are you using all the available tools in LinkedIn and using it in an efficient manner that's going to save you time and essentially money as well? If you're not using any of them, there's an issue. Are you using a premium account where you have spotlights, where you can actually find those active players rather than having to go to a profile, checking their activity, checking their posts, checking the last date, calculating, okay, they're active or not? There's a lot of automation inside LinkedIn that can do that for you. And external tools, you have to be careful. LinkedIn will suspend you, will ban you if they detect that you are using some of these tools. So you've got to make that choice yourself, what your risk tolerance is. But if you use most of the tools wisely, and there's one in particular that doesn't get pinged out of all the automation ones, it's the most simplest one. Duck Soup. It's simple, easy. If you're interested, let me know. I've got an affiliate link for it because I use it and promote it myself. But they're banned. Essentially, they're banned. So you've got to find peace with that, and as I said, assess your risk tolerance on your automation if you use external tools. But there is a lot of internal tools in LinkedIn. So check that. Are you using that to leverage your time, which ultimately leverages your money? And the last thing to diagnose is look at your workflow process. Look at how, when you go into LinkedIn, how are you using it? Are you, and I always use a reference and analogy of like a pilot. A pilot doesn't just get in the plane, boom, engine on, fly off. No, they go through about an hour and a half checklist, right? There's a checklist, and it keeps them efficient, it keeps them focused, and it avoids that fiery crash at the end. And the same thing with your LinkedIn. You should be putting in a process that is based on the output that you're looking for and the intent that you have. And every time you go on LinkedIn, you execute it and you stay focused and you stay planned. This is the difference, guys, between entrepreneurs that are doing 7 figures a year and those that aren't, is that they are masters of maximizing efficiency systems and their time. And they do activity always from a sense of urgency as well. And it doesn't mean like they're living to the last moment. It just means that you're getting stuff done every time you go in, and you don't let time, you dictate your activities and you work to a time scale rather than just like, just go in there. So many people go into LinkedIn and they spend an hour, 2 hours, and they've achieved nothing because they're floating around. They don't have a workflow process, and simply putting in a checklist can make a huge difference to your business. So, what am I doing next? Where am I going to look? What strategy? Are you trying to do a visibility campaign, a connection campaign, a content, or a messaging? Have a workflow process for each. So when you turn it on, it eventually becomes autopilot. A couple of months of doing it every day, it really does become autopilot. But what it means is you can actually then program your day. You can fit it into your day. And this is a huge, huge tip and piece that is missing in so many people's day, is that the prospecting part of their business, which is the part where you actually have to go in there and talk to people, so many people will avoid it. It's the last thing that they want to do. And it's the thing that makes them the most money. The more contact that you have with your ideal client avatars, with your customers, the more chance you have of selling, right? Unless you have a whole team. And this is really geared towards most of you who are solopreneurs, or maybe you have a VA or something like that. So it's different when you've got a whole team in place and you're leveraging and you're in a leadership role and blah, 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 right? But for you as a solopreneur in particular that are going after your own business, going after these clients, it's the easiest thing for you to put off, right? Something comes up, or I'm going to make a brochure, or I've got to fix my website, or I've got to write an article. You will do anything to avoid getting into the market and speaking to people. And I see it over and over again, right? I see it so often with solopreneurs. And a part of it is because you don't have a system that you can follow and you can repeat. And when you're feeling crappy, when you're feeling down, you can just do it. And that's a part of it. You've got to make it as easy for yourself as possible to get in there and prospect. And a part of that is having that workflow process, because then you can say, well, I can achieve this amount in an hour, and I'm achieving that every day. And then you can program it into your days, and you can work around it based on your workflow process. So it's a really important part of a funnel that so many people don't pay attention to. Yeah. So Guys, there it is. They're the elements that you really need to look at and diagnose, and they all bleed into each other. They all are reliant on the previous part. It's your avatar, it's your profile, it's your connection and messaging strategy, it's your content strategy, it's your automation, and it's your workflow process. That's it. Those pieces, when you knock them out, when you optimize them, when you have them working in order, it's magic. LinkedIn becomes magic. Yeah, it becomes a tool of a non-stop, lead generation tool. So if that's something of interest to you, you know what I do. I coach this stuff, and my clients come to me to put in a LinkedIn sales funnel. My stuff is not good for MLM. It's not good for affiliates. It's not good for cannabis stuff. It's not good. I don't do real estate buying and selling lead. If you're looking to find buyers and sellers, it's not good for that. It's not good for e-com. It's not good for B2C. This is if you have a corporate offer, a problem, a solution that solves a corporate bleeding neck problem, right? In the B2B space, come and see me. Book a call. Simple. Find out what's working, what's not working, where you want to go with it. And if it makes sense, I'll show you the blueprint and we can talk about how, if you want to hire me to help you, if it makes sense to do so. I'll only invite you, or my team will only invite you if there's a match. It's as simple as that. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments and I will answer them. And if not, have a good day. It's Friday here. My family's been out in Hawaii, so they're back today. And my foot's coming along for those that have followed. It's been broken and I had surgery and I had infections and blah, blah, blah. But it is coming along. I'm feeling much better. I'm not on all the medications now. Literally, I'm just on one antibiotic and awesome stuff. So I'm on the road to recovery. So there we go. February 1st, guys. Get into it. See you later.